We're on page 56 in your book, and we're going to start to look at the got it's on the bottom of that page, the A, B, and C there. So I mentioned that sometimes in proportions when you're solving for a missing value, that it's not always necessarily going to be easy to see right away what that missing value is going to be, like we had just practiced. Meaning, if I look in the denominator right now, going from 4 to 10, well, it's going up, it's increasing, but it's increasing by a decimal, not necessarily a whole number. And that's okay, but let's take a look at just solving a different way. So let me erase this. And instead, what we're going to do is use cross products to help us find that missing value. So what I mean by that is this. I'm going to take a look at 9 times 4, and I understand that I get 36 when I do that. Okay, in the other direction. So I'm going to change colors here. Let's go blue. Over here, I see x times 10. Well, that would give me 10x. So in between is an equal sign. And we're still trying to figure out this x. Remember, we're trying to make this a proportion. We're trying to make both of these fractions, these ratios, equivalent to each other. So what I've just done is I've created a one-step equation to help me solve for x. And so if I can figure out what times 10 gives me 36, then I will have solved for what I'm missing in the numerator there. Now, really, your steps with one-step equations, if you think about last year when you did these in 6th grade, how you would solve for x is you would take, and you need to get x all by itself. So I'm going to draw these fraction lines here, and I need to get rid of this 10. Currently, it's 10 times x. But if I'm trying to get rid of that 10, I need to divide by 10. Because if I divide by 10, 10 divided by 10 is 1x equals. Well, what you learn with equations is that whatever you do on the one side, you do to the other as well. So if I divided by 10 here on the left, I need to divide by 10 here on the right. 36 divided by 10, that gives me 3.6. My missing value in my numerator is 3.6. So I'm going to check my work over here to the side. Check it and see that I did that correctly. So if I take what I just got for x, this 3.6, and put it in my numerator, I'm going to substitute it in for x. That's what I solve for. And I put 4 here, just like the problem showed, and 9 over 10. I'm checking to make sure I solved for x correctly by once again checking the cross products. So I'm going to look at 4 times 9 and know that I get 36 there. And if I do 3.6 times 10 to make that equivalent, I also get 36. I've created my proportion. That means I've solved x correctly, and it's 3.6. Let's try another one, okay? Letter B. So I'm going to look at 34 times 5 right here, and you can use your calculator. You can work that out. When you multiply 34 times 5, you should get 170. And then now in this other direction, use a different color, I'm going to do 2 times y. 2 times y. And remember I said in the middle is the equal sign. Okay, well 2 times y. I need to get rid of that 2. I need to solve for y. I need y all by itself. So I'm going to do the opposite, and the opposite of multiplying by 2 is to divide by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1y equals. If I do that on the left, I also have to come over here on the right and divide by 2. 170 divided by 2 is going to give me, and you can check your answer in your calculator, you should work these out with me, 85. There's my y that I was missing in the denominator there. So once again, I'm going to come over to the side and I'm going to check my work. And so I'm going to make sure that 2 over 34, that fraction is equal to now 5 over what I just solved for y, which is 85. So I'm going to do my cross products. I'm going to use my calculator. I'm going to see if this works. If I do 2 times 85, and I also do 34 times 5, I'm checking again to make sure it's equivalent. So 2 times 85, I get 170. And if you do the other direction, you're going to get the exact same thing, 170. So it checks out. Absolutely, I have a proportion and I solve for y correctly. Let's come over and do letter C. So I'm going to start with my 7 times 21 here. 7 times 21. I get 147. In the other direction, I have 3 times n. 3 times n. And remember, the equal sign is in between. Solving for equations, you're trying to isolate that value, that variable that's there. And so if I have 3 times n currently, I need to divide by 3. I need to get rid of that 3. You do the opposite. If I divide by 3, and I do that on both sides of the equation so it balances, 3 divided by 3 is going to give me 1n equals 147 divided by 3 is going to give me 49. 1n, or n, equals 49. I'm going to check this last one as well. I want to make sure I got my answer correct. And so I'm going to take it and put it back in the problem. So I'm going to come up here a little bit and check. I want to make sure that 7 over 3 is equal to what I got for n, which was 49. 49 over 21, and that they're equivalent. All right, so here we go. 7 times 21. If you multiply that out right now, you should get 147. Other direction, 3 times 49. You should also get 147. So I'm showing you and reminding you on how you go through a one-step equation with these type of proportion problems and solving and finding that missing variable. And those are circumstances, those are cases where you can't necessarily see by using scaling how much bigger it's getting from the numerator, from one numerator to the next. If that's not working, if you don't see it right away and it's not clear, then you're going to use a one-step proportion to solve for that missing variable that's there. I'm going to have you come down and we're going to go to, let's see, we're going to look at the guided practice on page 58. I'm going to do 3 more with you here and walk through those steps one more time to make sure you're okay. So starting with number 1 on a guided practice, page 58. So if I take a look, I'm going to take and understand that I have 7 times 32 here. Oh, but guess what? When I just circled that, I took a look at the problem a little bit more carefully. So hold on, let's come back here. Look at that denominator. Look at how that denominator is going from 7 to 56. Isn't that getting 8 times bigger in that case? So it's actually scaling by a whole number in the denominator. Awesome. So now here in the numerator, that means that this is also getting 8 times bigger. Okay, well, what here for k can you take and multiply by 8 and get 32 to make this work? Well, wouldn't that be 4? Isn't 4 times 8 32? So let's check, right? Let's see if we put this answer back in. So checking our work, if we do 4, our answer, over 7, is that equivalent to 32, 32 over 56? Well, 7 times 8 is 56, and 4 times 8 is 32. Yep, that's a proportion. They're equivalent to each other. So by all means, our final answer is k equals 4. And we did that without a one-step equation. We went and looked at the problem to see if there was a simpler way to find that missing value. So now if I come over to number 2, I'm not seeing it. I see a decimal, and I'm trying to figure out, well, actually, don't let the decimal throw you off. Look at the denominator again. Look at that denominator. You're going from 9 to 36. That's getting 4 times bigger. And so if that's getting 4 times bigger, look here in the numerator. Hey, that means this also needs to get 4 times bigger so we can find that missing value of n. Great. So take your calculator. Let's do 3.2 times 4, and let's find that missing value. So multiply that out. And if you do, you should see 12.8. All right, well, we're going to check this. Let's see. So is 3.2 over 9 equivalent to, here's what we just solved for, 12.8 over 36. Let's try it. So again, we know from 9 to 36, this is getting 4 times bigger. We'll make sure one more time here. Double check in your calculator. Is 3.2 times 4 giving you 12.8? And it is. So for sure, again, you have created a proportion. You solved correctly for the variable. Okay, so let's look at number 3. All right, well, from 41, a larger value in your numerator, down to 5. That's not necessarily going down by a whole number. It's going down by a decimal, but it's difficult to see. So in this one, let's do a one-step equation. So let's take and use our cross products. Let's do 41 times 2 and get 84 here. Ooh, not 84. Mrs. Phillips hasn't gotten enough sleep. Let's try that again. 41 times 2 is 82. That's better. And so then now in the other direction, 5 times x, 5 times x, and we need to solve for x. So let's do the opposite of the multiplication. Let's divide by 5 on both sides so that equals out. You balance on both sides of the equation. So that means if I do that, 5 divided by 5 is 1x. And then let's do 82 divided by 5. You should get 16.4. 16.4. So x should equal that missing variable, x, 16.4. All right, we're going to double check this one also one more time. So I'm going to come down. Let's see, we won't do number 4 right now. So actually, you know what? Let's come up here. There's more room. So let's check. 41 over, we just solved for x. We said it was 16.4. Is that going to be equivalent to 5 over 2? All right, let's see. I'm going to do 41 times 2 and get 82. And I'm going to do 16.4 times 5 and see if I also get 82. I do. And so I solved it correctly. X is 16.4. I've created that proportion by solving for the missing variable. Now, I've shown you quite a bit in the last 6 examples. And so I do want you to try some more, absolutely, just to practice. And so on your agenda, attached, right here, you're going to practice. You're going to try 10 problems on line paper, the same line paper that you've been using today through our lesson, and see if you're getting comfortable with solving proportions. And then what will happen is tomorrow I will give you the answers or show you the work when you come to school tomorrow, or if you're at home watching virtually, and then you'll be able to see if you've done them correctly. So the problems are going to look like this one right here. So the link will attach here. You're going to try the first 10 like the agenda says. And use your calculator by all means. If you feel like you need to go and check your work as you're solving for that missing variable, then absolutely make sure you check your work. Take your time. If you have questions, let me know. And I'll talk to you tomorrow.